So we're going to move on a little bit, and we're going to start examining why the young were targeted. So the first reason why the young were targeted in the Soviet Union, they were the future. They hadn't experienced life under any other type of political system other than communism. Their fathers, their grandparents may have done. So there was a real opportunity to target the youth, instill this sense of support for Stalin and the regime, and then future generations, when they became the future generations, when they became adults, they wouldn't challenge Stalin or the political system. So that with regards to the cult of personality, this was extended to schools, this was extended to youth groups as well. So children were taught to worship, to idealise and to love Stalin more than they were their own parents. So images were used constantly in Soviet propaganda, showing Stalin with children. Stalin was seen as the father of the nation. He was seen as this paternal figure, as we've seen with the development of the cult of personality. So it was all done because it's argued that children's views are easier to manipulate, they're easier to mould, they're easier to shape than those of adults. So if you can target children when they're very, very young, you can instill their values into them. It's this idea which is seen within socialism as a political idea, a political ideology, that we are born blank sheets of paper. And our experiences, our childhoods, our education shape the values and the beliefs that we have. So this is why education offered such a strong opportunity for Stalin. So the education system in the 1930s was reformed by Stalin. It stressed obedience, it stressed a sense of duty to both Stalin and the Communist Party. So they would learn about Stalin quite a lot. They would obviously learn this romanticised view of Stalin. They would learn about all of the horrors of what Russia was like, of what the Soviet Union was like before the communists came to power. And they would read about the Soviet and the Stalinist interpretation of history. So in the 1920s, there was a much more relaxed attitude by Lenin, introduced by Lenin, into the education system. All of this went out of the window. There were set texts, there was strict classroom discipline, there was a national curriculum, there was uniforms, there was the indoctrination of children, basically. So textbooks, as you can probably imagine with what we've looked at, censorship, they were checked and they were providing the interpretation of history, of society that Stalin wanted them to. Basically, what I'm arguing here, and the key thing that you need to take away from this, is that the education system became just another arm of the propaganda machine in the Soviet Union.